In the last lecture, I answered some student questions to really help reinforce the information that you've just learned. We're going to do it once again. This time the questions are a little bit more challenging and really situations when people with maybe who've had sites up and running are experiencing. So these might be questions that you'll be having a little bit further down the road, and you can really see how to deal with them through these questions. So let us really get straight into it here. I've got a question from Armand, a number of questions really, but I'm going to pick out some of the main points that I think are interesting here. So Armand's here has a local photography business, and he's wondering, for local search, I guess there's no point to target keywords which are under a certain search volume. So this is really a keyword research question, choosing your keywords. And he's asking really about, is there a point to answer keywords for local search that have maybe 20 searches or less? I think this is a great question. It really brings up, what is the, should it be 1,000 searches or more, or really how should you be thinking about this? Well, really what you should be thinking about is, how valuable would one of those visitors be? So if you can get 20 visitors to come to your website and rank number 1 for that, if each of those 20 people spend on average $150 per photography session, well then that's going to be extremely valuable to rank number 1. 20 multiplied by 150, that could be $3,000. That's how valuable it could be. So don't think about just the number of visitors. You've got to really think about, okay, well, how much does my service actually cost, and how many of those visitors on average actually convert into being a paying customer? And that can take a little bit of testing to do over time to figure that out. But think about the end result. $3,000, that could be a lot of money, and therefore it's definitely worth ranking for those keywords there. Now, moving down a little bit, Armin had another question which I think is interesting and which you might be thinking about. This is more in relation to link building now. So that question was in relation to keyword research, and this is in relation to link building. So Armin says that he has a Moz Pro account, and in the Moz Open Site Explorer, so if we remember that, we used this tool before to really assess the backlink profiles of our competitors, etc. And Armand is using it to really assess his own site. And he says, some of my strong backlinks don't show up. So he knows that he has backlinks from a few big organizations. They're not showing up in the Moz tool, and he's really wondering why. And what I said is, you got to keep in mind that Moz is a third-party tool, and they may not pick up all of your links. So these guys are not connected to your website. They maybe don't have as sophisticated a system as Google for finding links on all of the websites around the world. So what I suggested Armand's do is really check his links in the Google Search Console to see if really Google has picked them up, because that's more important. If Google hasn't picked them up, well then you would start to scratch your head. But if Moz hasn't picked them up, well then that's not such a big deal. So to find out in the Google Search Console where you would actually see if Google has picked up your links is really in here. You can come to search traffic, links to your site, and I've got a brand new site, so there's no links from other sites yet, but this is where you'd come to check it. And what Armand said, he said, yes, they are there. Okie dokie, thanks. So those were two questions. One about the keyword research and the value of keywords, even if it's got a small amount of value or volume, and also the links, if they're not showing up in some of these tools, really to check them in the Google Search Console. Now that was the first question. Let us move on to the next one. Now here we have another question from John, and it's really about the backlinks once again. And is really, what I said about not all backlinks are created equal, really, that backlinks from high authority sites within your niche are going to be more powerful. So he's saying, is there an SEO advantage to placing a web page on a strongly related website. So that's really like a guest post. And really what I've said here is that if the page is a higher page and domain authority, the backlink would be more beneficial from an SEO perspective. So it's better to get a backlink from a web page that is high page and domain authority than it would be to get a backlink from some site that's completely unrelated and has no domain authority. So it's just really to reiterate that point that not all backlinks are created equal, and you should really look for those backlinks from stronger pages within your niche. So here's another question from Rob, and it's really about if you only have a small amount of keywords, how do you spread them over 150 relevant pages? So he said he's in quite a niche website. It's for online drum lessons. And he said there's really only 8 relevant keywords that have search volume. How does he spread these over 150 pages? Because I think he has 150 pages on his website already. And what I said was, you don't really need to spread them over 150 pages. What I would do is focus on the few relevant terms, ensure that the website has dedicated pages with great content around these keywords, and these are the pages that you want to rank in the search results. Remember that not every single page on your website needs to be SEO optimized. You can pull people into your website around maybe 8 key pages, and then they can go deeper and deeper into the site, if that content is relevant. So pull them into the site with those big pages, and then they can go deeper in. And he said that makes really a lot of sense. So remember that not every page on your website is going to be designed to rank in the search engines. You don't want your contact page to rank there. You wouldn't expect your about page to rank there. And maybe not all of your content pages will rank either. But really focus your energies on building links and optimizing those pages that there is search volume for. Get those to rank, and then people can go deeper if they want. Here is another question about the Moz toolbar that we were really seeing in the search results when you want to assess the page authority and domain authority of your competitors. So what Victoria is saying here is that if the Moz tool doesn't give any numbers, like below they appear blank, does this mean that the keyword is bad or should be used? And I've seen this happen to myself before. What I'd really recommend is that you create that account, like log in and actually create it and try and search it again, because sometimes the numbers don't show up, but then when you reload the page logged in, the numbers do show up. So that's the first thing that I would try. If there's no data as well, it doesn't mean it's not a bad keyword. Maybe Moz just does not have information about these competitors. And if it's showing that their PA is very low, well, then that's a great thing. That means that there could be a good opportunity for you. So if you see something blank like this, I would definitely log back into Moz, make sure you've got that created account, reload the page, and see then what the page and domain authority of your competitors are. If the page and domain authority is low, that's great. That's a good opportunity for you and a nice keyword for you to target if the search volume and all the other things are good, like the commercial intent, etc. Here we have a question from an e-commerce site from Hafid, and he says he has an e-commerce website in the fashion niche. He wants to understand if content marketing will increase his domain authority. Will it be good for his website to really do this? And what I said to Hafid is maybe start the process by really looking at where your competitors are getting their links and traffic. So go back and really, if you're in a situation like this and you're not sure whether it'll be successful for you, I think the first place to really start off is to have a look at your competitors. Use that Open Site Explorer tool, use Majestic SEO and all of the other ones that I've linked down here to really assess your competitors. And that's a great starting point. You can use the 3 tools here. You can also use SimilarWeb to uncover your competitors' marketing strategies so you can replicate them. So for any type of niche that you're in, it doesn't really matter. you should really start off by looking at your competitors to see what's working for them, and then you can be confident, well, if it's working for them, well, then it should very much work for me as well. So here we have another question about on-page optimization, and the question from Ali really is, are these tips only relevant for WordPress sites? So no, the principles that I've really laid out here for on-page optimization are really relevant for every single type of website that you have. Now, the Yoast SEO plugin that I mentioned there is only for WordPress sites. That'll help remind you about all of these different points, but all of the points are listed here, and if you don't have a WordPress site, you can double check it using this tool as well. So on-page optimization is definitely not something just for WordPress. You want to do it for every single site. The next question we have here is from Agnieszka. It's in relation to link building, and she's asking, she's noticed that there are a lot of backlinks to her website that have a high spam score. If you remember, what we said is you want to get backlinks to your site that are from high authority websites within your niche. And what Agnieszka has noticed is that she's got a lot of links from spammy websites. Now, I'm not sure how she got these, but in a lot of cases, website owners think that they can get links easily if they just buy them for $5 or $10. The problem a lot of the time with that can be is that these links come from very spammy sites. So she's worried now she might be getting a penalty from Google because she's got a lot of these spammy sites that make her website look spammy. What you should do if you want to see if you've got a penalty is come into your Google Search Console. You'll get a notification here under security issues if there is anything. So that's what I advise you to do. The next thing that you can do is you can actually remove these bad links using the Google Disavow tool. Well, you don't actually remove them because they're on the other websites, but you can essentially ask Google to ignore those links using this tool. And you can just type this into Google Disavow. You can come here to, it's inside the Google Search Console once again, Disavow Tools. You can come into Disavow Links. Now I don't have any links on this site right now, but you'd really come in here to disavow them here, and you're essentially telling Google to ignore them. To recap then, you really want those high quality backlinks coming to your site. If you are in a situation like this, firstly check if you've got a penalty inside the Google Search Console, then use the Google Disavow tool to ask Google to really ignore those spammy backlinks. The next question here is from Glenford. It really relates to link building, and he's asking about directory submissions. What he said is he's just wondering if submitting your site to directories, not paid online one, is considered SEO. So an online directory is really a place where you can list your website or business. It could be something like Yelp, TripAdvisor, that's an online directory. But there are other types of directories that are specifically built just with the purpose of getting a backlink. And what I said to Glenford here is it really depends. If the directories are well-known authority sites related to your niche, then I'd say go for it. Something like Yelp, you obviously want to be listed on that. But if it's some sort of outsourced service and you don't know where they'll submit your site, then it's best to take care. This relates to the last question we have. You don't want a lot of spammy links to your website. So you really want to, if this is some outsourced service like we'll submit your website to 500 directories, maybe you should really take care, because there's no real bad way to build links. It all comes down to how it's performed. If it's some type of automated process that's designed to manipulate the system, then that's something that Google might penalize you for. So really this is a way that people use to build links to your website. If it's some type of automated process, I'd probably stay away from it. But if it's something like creating your profile on Yelp, then that's obviously a great way to get in front of your audience there and their audience. And you might even get a do follow backlink from these profiles here. To recap then, if someone is offering to build links to your website, just try and understand really where these links are coming from. Otherwise, you can get yourself into trouble and have to do a lot of work cleaning all those links up in the Google Disavow tool, etc. Coming up next, I've got some SEO tips for local businesses. So this will really help you out if you have a physical location for your business.